Yes.
I believe we're recording. So, hello, Peter Groning from Stockholm.
Yes. Hi, Alex. Nice to meet
Hello.
you.
Lovely to meet you. Now, you have written this amazing book,
Thank
Resigned
you.
to Miracles,
Yes.
along with Stephen Midge, who I happen to think is possibly the best writer of magic books.
I agree.
So you're very lucky there.
Yes. I was so happy when he decided to do it with me.
And how come? So I was just saying earlier when we first met, I hadn't heard of you.
Yeah.
And then I looked up on your website, and I
Right.
discovered that you've performed at the Magic Castle for years. You've been at the Chicago Magic Lounge. You won the Swedish close-up competition in 1999.
Ages
Yet
ago,
you've
yeah.
flown under the radar. So
Well, I don't mingle a lot with other magicians, except for my friends, of course. So, well, and I also left the magic scene for quite many years, so I haven't been around that much.
and when you say your friends,
Yes.
one of those is Tom Stone, who
Yes.
a lot of people know.
Yes, he's one of my oldest and best friends.
And I can't believe that he let you drift away from magic. I would have thought he must have been one of your best advocates, saying, listen, you've got a lot to offer.
Yeah, well, he tried to persuade me for quite a number of years to return to the magic scene. And well, here I am. So I guess he succeeded at last.
Well, so a lovely bit of your book that really, so I read your book in one night.
Yeah.
I know it's not a particularly long book, but that's still quite rare for me.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah.
And I couldn't put it down, which is, again, not many magic books I could say that about. But you open up with how you started in magic in the 80s, and
Right.
you were the close-up card guy.
Yeah.
And everyone wanted to do stage.
That's what was then the thing. Nobody actually did any close-up magic. Well, they did card tricks or coin tricks and that kind of stuff. But at least in Sweden, there weren't that many opportunities to perform as a close-up magician. And me and my best friend at the time, when we grew up, we wanted to be magicians. But our only interest was card magic. Coins too, but cards more. Yeah.
And then you met, who did you meet? You met Sexton in a cafe, and that was the story?
Yeah, it was our mentor. His name was Ken Miller.
Right.
Actually, it was Bengt Nilsson, but he had an English stage name like everyone else at the time. He was very, very good friends with Sixten Bierman, who invented the complete card link. And we met him. I had no idea who this guy was. He was quite old, but extremely passionate, gentle, and so good with cards. And he performed one of his card links, but also a lot of Paul Harris material. And it just blew my mind. It was fantastic.
But so he pointed you towards more books, more material.
Yeah. At that time, the only books we sort of had within reach was what was available at our school library, which wasn't very much. I think it was mostly Swedish books, rather old, but some good stuff. But then we were able to order by post from like Kaufman books and stuff like that, and Minch's books. So yeah, that was like an eye opener.
And it was a Kaufman book that got you to where you are now.
Yeah.
With Resigned.
Actually, I brought it out.
Oh right.
Yeah.
That's
I love this book. I love it.
And so it was in the 1980s.
Yes.
You made a trick in that very copy of that book.
Yes, it's here, hidden within the pages. Yes, I think it was printed in 81. I think I got it either in the fall of 81 or spring of 82, and then I sort of devoured it. You know, it's fantastic.
And the one trick really stuck with you.
Yes.
And you played with that.
Actually, there were several that stuck with him, but there was one that I really liked the effect, and I saw a lot of potential, but I wasn't too happy with the handling. I felt there was more to be done with it, to be found within the effect, and perhaps it was.
Okay, and then basically you took that effect, and this is what This is what I think a lot of people should do when reading a book or study any kind of magic. Right. Is if you like the effect, but you're not that keen on the method necessarily, then develop it and come up with your own. Don't sort of just don't turn the page and go, oh well.
No, I so agree. Perhaps it's also because at the time I didn't have much money, so we didn't have much money to spend on books.
Yeah.
So whatever books we got, we had to read them thoroughly.
Yep.
And I so agree on what you're saying, because there are certain slides that I prefer to do and others that I tend not to do so much. So whenever I find a routine that I really like, I mean, the concept of it, the premise, if you like, I always try to make it mine.
Yes.
Not only presentational wise, I'm also, I mean, handling wise.
Yeah.
So, and I always had a passion for inventing new moves and slides that were sort of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like smooth stuff. What do you call it? When it's it should be organic.
Right.
It should
yes.
have a feel of not being contrived.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I must be so. And then you're not a magician now.
No, I'm a mentalist.
You're a mentalist.
Yes.
And an actor, and you play music.
I sing a lot.
You sing a lot, and you play musical instruments as well.
No, I don't. I sing.
Oh.
That's my only instrument, unfortunately. I wish my parents would have made me play an instrument when I was a kid, but they didn't, unfortunately. Yes. Okay. So I act a lot on stage and on films and TV, and I do a lot of mentalism as well.
And that really, and so that acting has helped you with the magic, especially your mentalism, I guess, because mentalism is very much about projecting something that isn't really.
I think so. Yes, it's first of all storytelling, of course, but also adding credibility to your claims or whatever the situation demands. I think my acting gives me an edge, I'd say. Yeah.
Okay. Now, so, and it was in the 81 you first read The Trick That Spawned Resigned.
Yes. Yeah.
And it is now 2020.
I know. It's crazy.
At some point, did anyone mention to you that you've kind of found that actually just for so in this trick, Resigned, you end up, after the trick, you have in your deck one or two cards that are signed by the spectators that the spectators don't know exist.
Yeah, it sounds mad, I know, but you know this is true.
Yeah, and I thought, so I did what I was saying to do in the book. I read that and thought, right, how would I do it? Yeah. And I had various ideas of accidentally smudging someone's signature and letting them to do it again and all of that. And the problem with that is, in the spectator's mind, they know that they've signed a second card and they can, but with this method, and I must try and emphasize this because it's so hard to sort of sell people the book without sort of giving the game away too much.
I know.
But the spectator isn't aware of this second cut at all. It's incredible.
Thing is
it's really good idea.
The signatures will not be missed.
Yes.
They are sort of, they vanish sort of, so they will not be missed. Yes. It's hard to say more without spilling the beans.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
And so, and I read it and I thought, that is so clever. That little, I can see where it came from. I can see how you developed, whether it would have occurred to me, I don't know. But at some point someone must have said, listen, Peter, you've found the holy grail of card magic. I think that's what John Lovett called it, the holy grail. I
know I think that's exaggerating perhaps, but still I'm really grateful for him saying that. But the thing is, when I came up with it, like almost 40 years ago, I was at the time trying to find a way to accomplish this. But when I was fiddling with this routine from Cardworks, I was only trying to, at first, enhance the routine.
Sure.
And for me, I sort of swapped I put the routine on its head, if that makes sense to you.
Yes.
And I played around with that for a couple of weeks or a couple of days, can't remember really. And then it struck me that what if I do what I do in
Yes.
the Resigned routine, that would make the routine itself so much stronger,
Yep.
and much more, in my opinion at least, much more convincing, and much more
Yes.
visually convincing as well. And then it struck me that I kind of accidentally solved my own problem with the other idea
Yes.
of obtaining secretly signed duplicates.
Yes.
So it's, what do you say? You say kill two birds with one stone?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. So I was kind of happy when that happened. But it's funny you're saying that people would perhaps compliment me on finding this. But the thing is, I at the time, this was in the 80s, early 80s, I hardly met any other magicians. So I kept it very much for myself. And back then, there was no internet,
Yep.
no cell phones, no nothing, you know. So communication it was when you met someone.
Yes.
And I didn't do that very much. So Tom Stone, he's one of the first that saw it. Thomas Blomberg.
Yes.
But that was quite many years later, and some other people, but not that many. So honestly, when I first came up with it, I wanted to. I started writing the book back then, but that you had pen and paper. I didn't
Yep.
even have a computer.
No, yeah.
But I thought that perhaps people wouldn't like the idea of the routine itself. So the Resigned routine.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I was wrong, because one of the most popular routines in card magic is actually
Yep.
a version of
Yes.
that effect.
Yes.
So I was wrong, but I didn't know. Does that make sense? Do you understand?
It does. Well, you almost came up with that more pop. I'm not sure when that that very popular routine was actually first published, but
I don't know when it was published, but I'm pretty sure I came up with mine before. But
yes,
I can't support my claim, but
yeah. So
yeah.
So that is one of the other things that struck me was, hang on,
Yeah.
I read it and thought that is brilliant, but then it occurred to me that it was very similar to this very popular trick. I thought, how come with all of the magicians all over the world now, with the internet and everything else, it hadn't. I think this is one of the wonderful things where technology has hindered people. Maybe that being stuck.
Yeah,
With
that's true.
God.
That's true. Yeah, but actually, I've been kind of worried ever since, because I thought that sooner or later someone else will come up with the same concept. And I've talked with Tom and Thomas also a lot about this, but for some reason, no one ever did, which is quite strange, because it's kind of obvious, isn't it?
Now it is.
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, a brilliant piece of it. It's just so inspirational, really. And I think that is, I mean, you know, certainly what I took away from it was, hang on, if you've got an idea and the drive, and perhaps you know, you don't distract yourself with going to get the next best thing.
That's true. Yes.
You can really create something very, very special. So it's been selling like hotcakes. But the Resigned trick itself, I think, is probably worth the price of the book.
In my opinion, I'm biased, but I agree with you, because actually at first I thought of releasing this as an one-item publication, mainly because it's much easier than to write a complete book.
Yep.
But also because I think the routine in itself is pretty strong, regardless if you use secretly signed duplicates or not. But what I found fascinating to me is that since I was the only one in on the secret, I've been having many years having the opportunity to develop applications utilizing the signatures, and nobody else has had this opportunity because they didn't have the tools. So that's why I really wanted, and I stressed this in the book. You could, of course, use the secretly signed duplicates as you see fit, but in my opinion, they shouldn't be wasted on meaningless effects, because there's so much. It's easy to, you know, just tear up a card and restore it. Yeah, you could do that, of course, but you could do that already with other means.
Yes.
But there are, if you put a little more thought in it, perhaps you can come up with much more interesting plots. Such as one, my favorite is Bit by Bit.
Yes.
For some reason, people don't seem to like it very much, but I'm not sure that they actually have tested it, because I like it a lot. And so you have like I think it's 4 changes in a signed card.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of mileage out of just one extra card, in my opinion.
Yep.
And I think I look forward to having now when it's out in the open, to see what kind of stuff people will come up with. I really look forward to that, because I'm sure there are so many nice applications just waiting to be discovered.
But that was the other thing. I was really, really surprised with just how good. I mean, now I've met you, I know it sounds like I've underestimated you, but I was surprised how good and how inventive and imaginative your use of the duplicate.
Thank you.
Because I mean, the whole sort of fading card, fade in, fade out, the gift box idea. I mean, that's very, very clever in itself. So I'll be. Again, you've nailed it with what you've done with it as well. So very much hats off to you for that. And you also mentioned coins. That was the one bit I wish you'd done a bit. You touch on, you can do it with coins, and then there's
by no means coin man. I never was. I just wanted to mention actually that I have some other ideas as well for surfaces that could be signed, and the concept could be used.
Is this a second? Is this a second book we're talking about now? Is it
in 40 years? No, but there are. I've had other ideas which I've discarded, and there was some ideas which I liked a lot that Stephen Mintz just plainly said no. And I said, well, yeah, and some of them still I don't really understand why he didn't approve of. But I know one thing, I highly respect his opinion. So if he says no, then they're out. So, but they're still in my mind. So we'll see.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to that. I am looking forward to that. And so then,
yes, sorry.
No. And then so then the next bit of the trick is other tricks.
Yes.
Often based along signatures again.
You mean in the book? In the third?
Yes.
I like those a lot, because I like if you have a card signed, it's much more. Cards aren't personal per se, but if you sign them, they're sort of yours. And this is, I also want to stress that some people seem to have a problem with, or a concern with, that the cards aren't signed on the faces, but rather on the backs.
Yes.
But well, you've read the book, so you know what I mean when I say that this is not really a concern at all. It's just the way us magicians tend to think, because we are so used to having the cards signed on the faces. But I lost track. Where was I? I was going to say something
about having cards signed and making them personal.
Yes. And that's why also the 3 last items, I like them a lot. And I thought, I came up with Signed, Sealed, and Delivered, I think in '99. So it's also been, but actually it was published on the second deal, Jason Alford's second deal in '99. Only to the members, of course, but still. So, but I like having cards signed. Yes.
I mean, I don't think the back's a problem, because often magicians end up having to tell people, no, that's on the face, and turn the card over and actually direct people. So that's certainly not a problem.
And there are also, like in Bizarre Assignment, for instance.
Yes.
When the selection is signed both back and on the face and on the back, that's also quite neat, because the selection is it's clearly. You can always tell where the selection is.
Yes.
It might not always be right, but it appears to be that you know where it is. So when it turns over or vanishes or even changes color on the back and still being signed, it's a nice routine.
And so in 1999, you won the Swedish Close-Up Championships.
Yes.
That's quite amazing in itself, because for me, Sweden is kind of like, well, you've got Leonard Green and you've got Tom.
Yeah, he wasn't in the competition though.
Oh, okay.
No, he's like, wow. But
even so, I would imagine a lot of Swedish were drawn to card magic because of.
That's true. Yeah, he made an everlasting impression, and there are quite a few really, really good close-up magicians and also stage magicians in Sweden. Yes. And so the competition it's kind of tough. Actually, that competition it's the first and only time that I have performed any of this material for other magicians. So I kept it to myself.
Did you perform it at the Magic Castle when you were there? Was that?
I only did mentalism. No, I know.
This is I can't. How did you keep this a secret? I mean, really?
Well,
could you not use it in mentalism?
Version or the long version. The thing is, that when I came up with it, I had no one to share it with. Really, I shared it with my mate, whom I grew up with. He lives in New York since, I don't know, 30 years. We very seldom meet. And then I've shown it to Tom, and I've shown it to Thomas Blomberg, as I said, but not that many more. And I went on to explore new stuff. So it was like I kept it in my drawer, and I of course I performed it, but I didn't think too much about it. And then in the early 90s, I think it was Tom who he was bugging me to release it, to go public with it, or what do you say, write a book. Yes. But then my computer died on me, so all my material was lost,
right?
Most of it, at least. And then that was a downer. So and a couple of years later, I had a new computer, and I began to write some of the stuff down again. But I've had 3 computers die on me. So actually, what's sad for me, I'm very happy that the book finally came to be. Very much thanks to Stephen Minch. But I have had so much more material that I don't even remember what it was, because it's lost. Which is it's sad for me, because some of it was good, some of it wasn't so good, perhaps.
What was the Swede? Well, I suppose you're not very connected with the Swedish magic world now, but sort of in the late 90s and things. Then was it growing? Was there a lot of card guys emerging?
Yes.
Were you active there?
Magic has always been quite popular in Sweden, and I think especially close-up and cards. And there are so many people, perhaps not famous, but they are great, both inventors and performers, whom I admire highly. And they still perform. That's why I gave up card magic and went into mentalism. They are much, much better than I was.
Is there a chance for mentalism book at any point? Is that?
Are you mind reader of sorts? The thing is, this is funny you're saying this, because working on this project has made me think that perhaps that there is a book about mentalism, and it won't take 40 years. But yeah, I've actually started working on it.
Okay.
This is the first time I'm saying this, and I haven't even mentioned this to Stephen, because I want him to help me with this. But I think he's very reluctant nowadays. He's enjoying his retirement. So, but we'll see. I have stuff that I think people would like to read. But then again, like I said before, I'm biased, so.
I mean, I would have loved to have seen you, because there are lots of good, useful tips within the book. Some are hidden in humor. I love the 2 Sharpies.
Yes. Rather than having just one.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, but that, if you perform regularly for people, for paying customers, there are stuff that you learn by doing mistakes. There's no point in others making the same mistakes.
Yeah.
And I've actually, it never happened to me, thank God, yet. But what if you have the first card signed and your marker decides to stop working? That's not a good position to be in. So yeah, keep a spare.
And you mentioned about two perfect theories and things like that crop up,
Yeah.
and things like that. So I mean, you is this from acting, or where do you get this experience from, or are you just a really sort of think and consider about how you perform?
You mean in my general opinions?
Yeah.
I think my theater training and working as an actor helps a lot, because being an actor, you tend to you should do that as a magician as well, in my opinion. But you should think through. Too many people aren't. This is going to sound like preaching. It's not. It's just my opinions. But I'm very fond of scripts, and I'm very fond of trying things out first in your head, and then during rehearsal, before you actually attack someone with your stuff. Because there are so many. When I grew up, there was this saying that it takes 1,000 performances to really, learn a routine properly. That makes sense in a sense, but there are so many things you could try first by yourself, and problems you could solve without having to do it in front of an audience. I'm not sure if I answered anything here.
No.
This is just my opinions. So I think you should think through what you do in order to smooth things out as much as possible. I'm very fond of for instance, like in Bit by Bit, the
Yes.
routine we talked about before. If you have to do something in order to, I don't know, reveal something or whatever, it looks very organic because you have to do it in the course of the action.
Yes.
But actually, it also permits you to do the dirty work,
yes,
which passes unnoticed because it blends in with your natural actions. And I like that a lot also in my stage work as a mentalist. I have, for instance, I do a thing with where I have a spectator who helps me on stage, and she has to look at something, and in order not for me to see it, I turn away.
Yes.
But as I do that, I have a perfect view of something else that I need to see. But it flies by because it's a very natural thing to do. I look away in order not to see what she's doing, but by doing that, I see something else. And I like trying to make my performances organic in that sense, that it in the best possible world, it looks as nothing strange happens.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
No, it's funny. I was Aaron Fisher had something about the bluff pass where you only have one card, and he said everyone does it like this, and they hide everything as best they can, but they end up looking daft.
Yes.
And although they've hidden everything, it looks like something's happening.
Yeah, maybe they don't know what happened, but something happened.
They can't see it, but no one does that.
They sense it.
Yeah, and he said, well, just drop your hands at the side, have it added, do it as if you did have half the deck.
Yes.
And even though they could have seen it if they were looking, they won't be because everything has happened naturally.
If you're open,
yes.
Nobody suspects anything. Yeah, I know. Yes. Yeah. So I when I create mentalism stuff, I try to keep that in mind constantly to make it appear as nothing is happening. Of course there is, but I have another routine where I have to do some rather advanced math in my head, and I do it staring in the eye of a spectator, pretending that I'm trying to read his mind. So I'm doing something, and to them it appears as if I'm reading his mind, but actually I'm doing the math. So
Yes.
yeah, if that makes sense. So, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, well, I think
and I try to incorporate, or did, because I don't do card magic anymore, but I try to incorporate that as well in my card magic to make it organic and smooth.
Well, we were talking earlier that you like your card magic for meeting people
Yes.
and the engagement and things. And I've always found that if I was doing a sleight that I was uncomfortable with, it takes me out of the game somewhat.
Yes.
Instead of engaging with them and talking to them and everything else, I'm going, was that 4 or 5?
Yes.
And suddenly I haven't been listening. And that for me was always a bit of a no-no. And I'd always try and change that sleight or you know, come up with a different trick.
To be more present.
Yes, because as soon as it looks like I'm concentrating on something, I mean, with mentalism, it's quite good that the concentration of a math problem whilst looking works nicely. But in close-up card magic, people will be going, well, it's not, you know, what on earth is he doing? That means he's got to clench his buttocks in such a strange manner.
That's so, it's interesting you're saying this, because it's so true, I think, because even though they perhaps don't understand what's happening, they can sense that you're not there. There's no report.
Yes.
So I've seen so many, I've been doing this myself as well. So it's not me being, you know, perfect or anything, but I have noticed seeing others that perhaps the magician or the performer, he asks a question.
Yep.
But he doesn't listen to the answer, to the response.
Yeah.
And to me, that is, well, why did you ask the question in the first place? You know, it's because he's preoccupied with something.
Yes.
Which is cool, but they shouldn't notice that you're doing this. It should pass unnoticed. And this is quite important, I think. It's like if you see an old movie with Fred Astaire or something, everything he does, it appears so easy. It's not, because he's practiced a lot, but it appears to be quite easy. And I think we should aim for the same, rather than making it. I'm not saying it should be mundane. That's not what I'm trying.
This works. I think
it says recording. I have a
Yeah, I just hope it's recording you and not just looking at me, because that would be a disaster. Yeah. So, where were we?
We're talking about performances.
Yeah, performances.
And the next book.
And the next book,
which I'll see what I can come up with, because there are so many great books already. So there's no need for another one if it's not adding something.
I'll be interested to see I am interested to see what people come up with this.
Oh, you mean with Resigned?
Yeah, because recently, yeah.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Have you? Yeah.
I think at first, at least, you'll see people using it for cartoon possible location.
Yeah.
Because that's
obvious.
Obvious, exactly. But to take it further, maybe not so obvious. But there's so much to find, I think, to explore and develop. And like I said before, one of the real treats with releasing this will be to see what others will come up with. And I'm sure I'm going to think, why didn't I think of that first? I've had like 40 years almost. How could I miss that? But that's fun within the scene to see what others do, their stuff, because we all bring ourselves to the table. So I have my, I don't know, persona, my taste, my preferences, if you like. So that you can see within the book, but others will bring something completely different. Have you come up with something?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Did you try it though?
Well, did you try? So the coin thing really appealed to me, because one thing about coins is the plots always seem a bit nah. Like, you know.
No, yeah.
Okay, I've got a coin in this hand. It's going to go over here. And I do like. So yeah. Well, this is me waffling now. I've got Coins is where I think I might have some ideas, but I think that's because you haven't tapped that, you see.
Yeah, exactly. That's like uncharted territory.
Yeah.
But
so
did you try Resigned? Have you learned it?
Yeah, I've just done it here. And that's why I said it's just wonderful. I thought, compared to the other popular trick, I think there's no reason not to do Resigned instead. Have the advantage of the signatures should you return later in the evening, or So for me, obviously, I'm not sure how the gigs would work in Sweden, but obviously sometimes there are sort of a bit of walk around before a reception or
Exactly.
and afterwards you can meet the same people again.
Yes.
And that's one of the things I was sort of talking earlier that I like about Magic was the engagement with people. And that was one of the things that you liked about the close Magic.
But when we had a place called the Magic Bar in Stockholm, they closed perhaps 3, 4, 5 years ago. It was really, really nice. They ran for 7 years. People hang out there, magicians, and if we had a night off, you could go there and work. It was great. But many times, if you were like in a strolling situation, I ended up just talking to guests rather than performing, because it's so nice to meet people, finding out who they are, how they found their way there, and so on. So it's just nice to meet people.
Well, we have something at the Magic Circle I do, where we have 8 minutes. So they invite non-magicians into the Magic Circle.
Right.
And you do 4 table sets. And they're meant to be sort of 8 to 12 minutes. I've got this terrible habit of chatting to the people and then going, oh, I better show you a quick trick before I've got to go.
Well, it's nice. And actually, in my book, that's more important, because it's the thing is meeting people, building bridges. That's what counts. We can always do tricks later.
That's right.
But like you were saying also, if you do if you're table hopping, you can say that, can you?
Yes. Yep.
And if you're doing a stage set later, you could very well utilize the secretly signed cards in the stage set. The gift, the thing with the box.
Yeah, lovely idea. Yep.
I like it because you could perform it whenever during your set, and it's quite nice. But I must
say the production that you do in that is new, isn't it? It's yours.
I don't know. I've never seen it before. And Stephen Minch is very well read, and as far as he knows, I think it's new.
So just so everybody doesn't know, this is for a production of an object from behind a box of cards.
Yes.
And it's really good, and it's really handy, and it's easy to do, and almost you can fit it in anywhere in your set. So that's really good. Anyway,
it doesn't have to be a box.
No,
could be
sorry,
any small object.
Yeah.
But also in that also is a very good example of how I try to construct routines, because it's kind of it's more choreography.
Yeah.
And it should be performed casually, not like a dance. It should be as how you normally act physically. But I think it kind of works nicely.
Well, it is a wonderful book. We're gonna have to end now.
Yes.
I'm afraid our time on Zoom runs out. But does this mean we will be seeing more of you in the magic world? Are you being dragged back into it? I know you're clawing your way, going, I'm a mentalist. I don't use cards. I'm a mentalist. But surely.
My first and foremost passion is card magic. I love it. I'm rather poor executing myself these days, but maybe, I like it a lot. And working with Stephen Minch on the material has sort of re-sparked my passion. So, and actually I have, you can't see them now, but I have a couple of books waiting there to be reread, because I've read them but ages ago. So who knows? And I actually do have some other, like I said, other routines for utilizing the cards as well. So who knows? There might be not a sequel perhaps, but if people, if there's an interest, then, well, we'll see.
I'm sure there will be. Don't keep anything secret for another 40 years.
I know. I'll be gone then.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you, Alex. So nice meeting you. And I really look forward to meeting you in person one day.
Yeah, well, we have got some popular customers over in Sweden, actually. So if you say hello, yeah, you say hi to Ottar and Jonas. They would be good.
Hey, Ottar. Hey, Jonas.
And so this is a quick question. I probably shouldn't be recording this.
Shoot.
The summer solstice, winter solstice, this frog dance thing that Swedish people do.
Yes. What about it?
It's true. Okay, I was made to do it once. And I thought, hang on. This is a joke.
It sounds crazy, and I suppose it is, but it's tradition, and it involves quite heavy drinking, and then so if you'd like to see it for yourself, I'd love to have you over, and we can do it together.
That would be wonderful. I look forward.
I mean it, truly. That
would be terrific.
Bring your family.
Well, we'll do.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Yeah, I'll take you up on this.
Thank you very much, Peter.
Thank you, Alex.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.